Today I'm looking at the Zoom Multi-Stomp MS-50G. This is a pedal that's pretty much irrelevant today, but still kind of fun. It's from 2012. The amp modeling is pretty full-featured in this. Doesn't exactly hold up, but I think that's interesting. It's vintage amp modeling from the bygone days of 2012. So I'm going to check out the amp modeling. But there's also a ton of effects in here. You know, your delay, reverb, chorus, and there's just so much in there, as well as some wacky stuff. So we're going to take a look at the most interesting bits I can find of this old pedal. And these are going used for under $100. So if you like what you hear, it's not that expensive of a pedal. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty capable for what it is, especially at the time it came out. You know, there was more advanced stuff on the market, but I think this was a lot cheaper than the pods. It is reminiscent of the Line 6 pod stuff, but a little bit smaller, much smaller, which is nice. And also, I think, cheaper. I don't know what they sold for new. Maybe I'll put the price up on the screen, but I've seen them going used for about $80 today in 2025. So I have some cool software here. This is the ToneLib Zoom. ToneLib is a third-party company. They have their own amp modeling, but they put out this free software, which is cool and allows you to hook up this pedal and some other Zoom multi-effects pedals and edit everything here. You can see it more clearly on the screen. So that's awesome. This is the software I'm going to be using to play around with stuff today. The actual interface of the pedal has 3 rotary push button encoders that you can use to tweak all the settings, like the EQ on the amps or the effects settings. It's got a 4-way D-pad, as well as the actual on-off foot switch, which if you double tap it, goes into tuner mode. It's not a terrible interface. I have edited patches on the pedal itself, and it's not so bad, but it's certainly not as easy as this software. So that's what we're going to be using. This pedal is also stereo, which is nice. So all of our stereo delays and reverbs and choruses are going to sound pretty lush and expansive. And of course, I am recording it in stereo. So first, I want to take a look at some of this vintage amp modeling technology, and then we'll go into all the different effects. And lastly, I'll put together a mix demo so you can hear how this vintage amp modeling sounds like in a modern mix. course, I can't go through all of the effects and all the amps. There's just too many here, but we'll take a look at what is most interesting to me. Starting with the dynamics/filter, we've got different things like compressors, noise gates, there's limiters, there's EQs, and then there's some wacky digital filter stuff, sequence filter, random filter. There's like a slow attack, you get your violin sounds. And a nice thing about this software too, you can also just mouse over all of these different effects and see what they're supposed to be. Zoom's unique noise reduction. There's a good mixture of a lot of your standard effects that you would see on any kind of modeling software, as well as some unique stuff from Zoom. I also did update this to the latest firmware, which included more effects than the original firmware that shipped with the unit. In the Overdrive and Distortion, we've got kind of all the main heavy hitters. We've got our Klon Centaur. We've got the DS1, the Distortion Plus, the Fuzz Face, the Marshall Governor, Big Muff, Metal Zone, 2 Big Muffs here. Just a whole lot of stuff. Rat, Tube Screamer, all that. The amps, again, we've got quite a lot here. And if we look at the high gain stuff, we've got an Orange 120, the Crank Revolution, there's a dual rectifier, there's the Angle Invader, there's a Dietzel, there's the Herbert, and then you've got all of our Blues Dad amps too, the Fender stuff, the High Watt, that's cool, Matchless, Marshall. So lots of your classic stuff. Our modulation, we've got tons of flangers, bit crushers, choruses, phasers. This is kind of where the pedal shines, I think, is in a lot of these effects. And then the delay, once again, has lots of different reverb and delay options, from normal standard stuff to some pretty wacky stuff, which is cool. So there's a ton in this pedal. Not all of it's actually good sounding, but a lot of the effects are good, and the amp modeling's not the strong suit, but also I think kind of one of the fun parts. So let's check out the amps. I've got loaded up here the Dietzel. It's not the best, but it's trying. Here's the dual rectifier. And I think the stack power amp output option here is a little nicer. There's a certain quality to the distortion that's just not that great. Kind of sounds like digital modeling in not a good way. It's got that digital sound that people used to complain about and now is not really a problem. But this kind of shows you what the issue is with some of the early digital modeling. Here's the Crank. That might be my favorite so far. That's not so bad. Let's check out the Orange. pretty low gain. Don't know if we have a JCM 800, but we have a JCM 2000. So let's check that out. Some of this is the IRs too. That's got a kind of boxy sound. Not unheard of for a Marshall, but not exactly the best. Let's see. I liked the crank. Maybe that's a better IR. A little harsh. It's not terrible. That could be doable. Maybe it's this crank IR is just pretty good. I'm trying to pick out what I might do for a full mix demo. I'm liking that crank, or at least that crank IR is sounding pretty good. Just for fun, let's check out a Fender Vibroverb. You know, it's passable. It's not terrible, and it does have a little breakup on it. So the amps are, as expected, not really the best, but they're not so terrible. Let's check out some of these effects. That's pretty cool, but it would be cooler with a delay. Pretty cool. I mean, is it useful? Maybe. Maybe in a very specific circumstance. There's some pretty awesome effects on here, and I think this would be a pretty cool solution today if you wanted like a live ambient rig, kind of all in one pedal. I think it's a pretty cheap and effective way to do that, and there's a lot of stuff. If you really want some wacky, ambient, experimental kind of sounds, this has got a lot. Of course, it does more tame and normal stuff too. If you just need something that's got your reverb and delay, and if you want something that you could turn on kind of a whole patch. Now, you can save presets in this. There's actually a whole bunch here. You can see there's, 50 slots. So you can do presets. There's just no easy way to access it live. But between songs, you definitely could change presets. And it would be pretty sweet if you just need something for like a clean ambient sound that you can just turn on and have like a whole patch with all your effects. You just turn on with one button. I could see that being useful for the metal bands that like to have a cool clean patch with lots of effects, and you just want something easy that you can turn on. This could be a good option. And yeah, they're go for pretty cheap, so it's a cool pedal. Let's check out some of the overdrive and delay options. I'm going to go with a little more tame amp model here. Classic DS1. Now, I'm always curious how it does fuzz, because that's one of the hardest things to get right. And digitally, it's almost never done well. So does this do it? Big muff is not too bad. It definitely has that same kind of digital thing. It's kind of lo-fi. It doesn't really sound beautiful and analog, but you know, it does the muff thing. It does the fuzz thing pretty well, despite not being the greatest tone. At least it sounds like a fuzz pedal. A lot of these remind me kind of the Bit Crusher that is also in this, but nonetheless, the fuzzes are okay. They're definitely kind of messy and fuzzy, and I like that. I would prefer that to something that's overly polished. And of course, we need the metal zone. Now, it doesn't have your classic metal zone controls. It's got a single tone control. That's not enough tone for my zone, but we're going to go with it. Pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Don't know if it's the modeling that's bad or the Metal Zone itself. Just kidding. I love the Metal Zone. Zoner for life. I'm in the zone. We have a tone bender. This is a very expensive emulation. It's kind of fun. Z Scream, original high gain sound. All right. Let's see if they can do better than their emulations. Yeah. Okay. Let's check out the classic Tube Screamer. No gain here. Level there. Just set this up like I was doing any other amp sim. Getting pretty close to something that I think might be usable. Is it going to sound as good as a modern amp sim? No, but I think it might be usable. There's just a little bit here that might be nasty. Let's see if I can fix it with EQ. It's not the world's best high gain tone, but I think it'll do. So I think that's what I'm going to use for the demo. Now, I can also switch back and forth with a modern IR, and I'm thinking about it. But the thing is, yes, it'll sound better with a modern IR. We know that. Is the weak point of this the IRs, the cabs? Sort of. I'll play around with it. I'll see. If I include it in the demo, I guess it was worth showing, because maybe the IR is the weak point. But I really think the modeling in this, the actual amps, the feel of the amps, the sound of them is just not that great. So while it's not terrible, it's not the best. We knew that. It's a 2012 little compact pedal. However, it's a powerhouse of ambient effects, of reverbs and delays, of all sorts of stuff. Choruses, stuff that you can definitely use today if you need a pedal like this. If you want to take some digital effects for cheap to a live show or just for jamming at home, this is a pretty cool pedal, and they're not that expensive. So I don't know. It's kind of worth it, I think, if you need something like this. I think it's a pretty fun pedal. I kind of enjoy it. And yeah, I didn't really expect much from it, but it impressed me. So that's why I'm doing this video as a tribute to the Zoom MS-50G. I haven't played around with that many Zoom units. Most of my experience is that the amps don't sound that good, and I haven't really tried a lot of the effects. I've had people bring over Zooms before, and I've always been like, that's great, let's not use that. I've tried out my friends and always thought, this is complicated. I do like their portable recorders. I've got the Zoom Handy recorder. I'm actually recording this with it. Have I ever liked their pedals? Not really. This is the first Zoom pedal that I've enjoyed. So I do enjoy it. I think it's a good pedal. I think it's a little bit of a sleeper, maybe, or maybe I'm being overly generous, but I think it's pretty cool for what it does. I like that ToneLib put this out. I think they do other Zoom pedals that you can use with this. So check that out. If you own any Zoom products, definitely give this a go. I hope this has been interesting. It's not exactly the most useful video unless you want to buy one of these, which in 2025, you probably don't. But I hope this has been fun, maybe kind of nostalgic. I like checking out this retro tech. I still need to do a Pod X3 video, but that's going to be even more, there's more pressure on that one to get it right because, you know, the pod is so important and monumental, and I've always wanted to be in, so got one shot to make that video really stellar. I hope I make it. You know, we'll see. We'll see. This was just a little fun one. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please smash like, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of my other videos. I've got some similar stuff. I did one on the ToneLib Metal if you want to check out their software offerings. I've done lots of stuff about guitar pedals, but have I done a whole lot about multi-effects? No, software, yeah. Anyways, smash like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.